Okay, so now we've given the indigo. In warm weather, it doesn't take very long to be ready to dye with once it's started. So this was a warm bucket of water. We added the stock to it and then let it resettle, and now it's ready to go. We've got the indigo flower on top, so I'm going to move it to one side. Okay, and I'm going to take out the scarf that I tied with the lollipop sticks, squeezing out all the water, okay? The more you squeeze out the water, the less oxygen that will be introduced to the dye vat. Introducing oxygen to the indigo vat does weaken it slowly but surely, and it's just something to be aware of. So here we go. So we've got our tied pattern. I'm going to pop it in. Now gently squeeze it under the surface, just so that all the dye goes up into the fibre. Keep squeezing it. And remember, indigo is a cumulative process, and so the first dip is almost like it's charging the fabric, and then the second, we'll get it out and we'll allow it to oxidize, but we need to build up the color. So I'm going to show you slowly how we build up this color. Squeezing out all of the water, so there's not much air going in. Okay. So generally, the first dip can be left in for 2 minutes. You can keep working it under the surface, just squeezing it and squeezing it so that all those tiny little bits of air or water gets squeezed out and the indigo gets absorbed. Okay, so I'll bring it out, careful to squeeze it, and then there we go. Just going to move that one out. Okay, and as it comes out of the air, you see it's green. It's starting to oxidize already. Now to speed that process up, you can plunge it in some cool water. Just takes a bit of the slack lime off. There we go, that's our first dip. Just going to pop in there. Okay, and then we'll let's give this one a squeeze. So this will carry on oxidizing for, I don't know, between 10 and 20 minutes. You can just until all the green parts have stopped changing colour and that everything's blue, then you know you can pop it back in the bucket. Okay, so getting the beads out, here we go. So there we go, that's their first dip, so it always looks a bit pale. Okay, we're going to pop it, can you see it changing already in the air? I'm going to give it a plunge in some water. Okay, look at that. So also what you need to remember is that when dyeing fabric, any fabric, your fabric's going to dry 2 to 3 shades, if not 4 shades lighter than what it is wet. So you've always got to bear that in mind. So hence why we keep layering up that colour. So next we're going to put in this one, which was the close peg one. Just gently lower it in. And the tie-dye swirl. Okay, so generally this DIY kit will dye about 500 grams worth of natural fibre fabric, and so you could do your scarf and a few t-shirts. don't try and do too much because it's you know, you want to get a deep colour. You don't want a pale blue. You want to maybe have 4 or 5 dips at least for each item, which means you'll get a good indigo shade. If you want really deep colours, you need to be dipping for about 12 times, I'd say. Okay. So as you can see, this is fully oxidised nearly now. I mean, maybe there's a bit more in the middle. You could probably go back in soon. Also, the type of fibre you dye can help the dye uptake as well. So for example, a more open weave linen will take more intensely because the dye can get all around the fibres, compared to like an Egyptian cotton pillowcase, which will take on the dye much more slowly because the fibres are woven so closely together. So sometimes you get some really beautiful, nice hand woven cottons or scarves, and they're much more open in weave. So that will take the dye in a much more intense way than something that's really tightly woven. Also, if something's quite densely woven, like a thickness, then that can also be affected as well. There's lots of different variations that can affect the colour of your indigo uptake. Let's take this guy out. Go. Give it a quick plunge in the water, it does help. It also gives it a rinse of the slack lime. Okay, let's put that on the front. Okay, t-shirt. So you can wear gloves. I'm not wearing gloves, but this is quite a gentle vat. There's the t-shirt. So we're going to do everything else. Keep dipping them. I'm going to give it a good squeeze. Okay. Okay, so we're going to pop this one back in now. So my advice is that you have like a few different ones on the, get prepared before you start dyeing, and then you can keep adding them like a conveyor belt and taking them out, letting them sit. Okay, and back in. Having the cold water next to the dye pot really helps. So after, let's say 4, 5 dips, we're ready to get them out again. So repeating the same process. So the colour is darkening. Still needs to be plunged into some cool water and then left to oxidise. The shade is darkening. There we go. Try not to squeeze too much back into the water. So you can see how each one intensifying in shade. And they're different fabrics. So you've got the hand woven cotton here, then we've got bastiste cotton, which is a bit finer, and then we have the t-shirt jersey. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, we're going to open up some pattern so that you can see the end result.